Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. Today, we're talking with a woman who was named Voice of Generation Z by Community Magazine. She owns Gen Z Publishing, a publishing company that has produced 15 Amazon bestsellers. She's going to share her story today, exactly who she helps and why she does what she does. I'm Tanya Eberhardt, founder of BrandFace, where we help experts and influencers differentiate themselves, and we do that through personal branding.
And I'm Michael Carr. I was a BrandFace client almost 8 years ago, and the principles made my company so successful that I became a partner in it. And today we're the most comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe. We do Be Bold podcast to help entrepreneurs take the fear out of putting themselves out there, which is the most important part of success. And you're going to love our guest here today because she's a master at it.
Welcome, Dr. Marissa Schwartz.
Thank you.
How'd you like that intro, Marissa?
Love it. That was awesome. I appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. And the doctor, you actually have a doctorate in literature, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So refer to her as doctor.
I will.
Shall we?
Very
Okay.
proudly. Yes, I will.
Me too.
Literature was the only thing, or I'll say English, or whether it was the only subject that I really cared for in all my years of schooling, to be honest with you.
Same here, which is why we get along so well.
We do love to read. But,
We do.
attaining doctorate is very hard to do. So congratulations.
Yes, you bet.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Schwartz, tell us how you got started in this profession. I mean, was there a person in your life or maybe a specific event that shaped who you are and what you're doing today?
Yeah, it's actually funny. I was a Biomedical Science Academy student. I was in my third year and I was doing fine. But I had a revelation when I realized I was rushing through my biomedical science classes because when you finished early, you could do whatever you wanted. So I would rush through to read and write. And I realized, maybe I don't really like this biomed stuff as much as I like literature. And at the same time, and I was 17 at the time, that's such a pivotal point in your life where you're really trying to decide what you want to do. And I was trying to figure out what made me happy, so at the time I had a lot of friends getting jobs at the mall or, waitressing, doing things that they really didn't enjoy. And they would come into school and they would complain. And I was like, man, I need to get a job, but I don't want to do something like that I hate. And that, that I'm in school all day doing something I don't like, biomed. And then I'm, after school waitressing or working at the mall, what can I do that I'll enjoy? And it just so happened my mother's an avid reader and she read in one of her women's magazines about freelancing. And she said, hey, did you ever consider freelancing? I said, I've never even heard of that. I don't know what that is. So I looked into it and I looked into some websites that help freelancers find clients. And at that time I had self-published a book. So I knew about writing. I knew about publishing a little bit, just a little bit, the self-published book. I think I sold 3 copies, they were to faculty members of my school, but I had a little bit of experience. So I went for it and I signed up and I said, I'm going to freelance, sing you a song. And I thought, the money's going to come rolling. Everybody's going to hire me to sing them a song. But it turns out people don't want to pay 17-year-olds to record music on like a little, their old iPhone 2 in the basement of their parents' house. Who knew? So I'm like, okay, scratch that. We're not going to sing for money. We're not going to freelance that way. Let's find something else. And I decided, okay, what if I edited books? So I found a woman who had written a children's horror book. I love the horror genre. I was basically a child myself. So I asked her to work with me and we did, and it went really well. And then she referred me to a friend who referred me to another friend. And before I knew it, I was editing books and that followed me through college. And then people would say, I really like your editing. Can you write something? Can you do some developmental writing? So I got into writing and then I got, your writing, I love it. Can we get some SEO on that? So, okay, let's look up what SEO is. I learned SEO. Thank gosh, I was a student at the time where classes, I could just sign up for an SEO class. So I did that. And it just built that way. And then I went for my master's in corporate and public communication, which is where I met a lot of people who have comparable skills to my own. And I expanded our service offerings. Sounds pretty similar to what you've done. I expanded our service offerings based on who I knew. And that kind of brings us to today. You know, that was then I went, you know, through school getting the doctorate and continued to grow the businesses through that. So, oh, and the publishing company, I left that. So that was my marketing company. The publishing company was when I was in college. I wanted to, after self-publishing a book, I wanted to traditionally publish one. And being a college kid trying to get a book published by a traditional publisher, they kind of don't take you seriously. So I wanted to create a place that was diverse and open-minded enough that anybody who queries us, if their book is good, if they have the passion for it, we'll take them on. And that's how I started that.
Very interesting.
Very bold, I gotta say.
It is
in
bold.
every step of the way. Every step of the way. I like it. You're clearly a problem solver right off the bat. And you can see opportunity, I think, which is also very valuable in life.
I want you guys to listen to that for a minute. Like, first of all, she realized she did not want to do what all her friends were doing because all they were really doing was complaining.
Right.
And then when she thought, oh, I'm passionate about singing, I'll do this. And it failed. Right. And so she moves on. And then, you know, that evolution of that, the lesson to be taught is you persevered, you know,
undaunted.
Yeah, you were undaunted by that. And I love that because, you know, that's what I think that so many people are missing is just, okay, if it fails, so what? You know, it took me really a long time to get to the point of accepting my failures and seeing, hey, that's just another stepping stone across the pond.
Yeah, it's another learning opportunity.
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's really works out really good, I have to say. So to the audience, can you say what are some common mistakes you think people that make when it comes to, like, if we want to stick to the genre of writing, what are some of the common mistakes that people make when it comes to that?
Yeah, the first is definitely blockages. So everybody knows of writer's block. My first day of grad school for the doctorate, we had a professor who totally turned my brain around when it came to writer's block. Because before that, I thought, oh, everybody gets writer's block. It's just something that happens. But he said, and he was the sweetest guy in the world, but it sounds really rude, but trust me, he was a really sweet guy. He meant it in a nice way, but he said, writer's block is a symptom of having too big of an ego, because your ego is whatever I write needs to be great. It needs to be perfect. But if you just allow yourself to write and take your ego out of it and just let the pen flow, then you don't have writer's block anymore. It might not be great. And if you can accept and allow yourself to write something that isn't great, you will get over it. And then you can go through editing. You could completely disregard it, but at least you will have written, and then you won't be in that mindset of, oh, my writer's block. And that changed my life. Hearing this really sweet man who had been a professional writer for 40 some years say that totally changed my whole mindset in writing, and made me realize, you know, I'm a type A, I can be a perfectionist. Made me realize, yeah, just go for it. So you can apply that to really anything, but that's one of my favorite pieces of writing advice I've gotten.
I love that advice.
I do too.
I've heard it before. Like,
I have not ever heard that.
Now. I'm racking my brain thinking about it. But I read an article years back about that because we're writers and always have been, from poetry to prose of all kinds. And then, of course, we've written the books and the help books in the business arena. But they, you know, I read this article and the guy said the same thing. He's just like, you know, you need to continue to write, even though you know it's junk. Like, even you just keep doing it, and it'll flow. You'll flow. And you might find a vein that you go in that you didn't even expect. But it's just important to do it every day. And I think that applies to anything, like in business or any kind of craft in which we want to get better at. Persistence is the key. That is the true nature of success. And you are living proof, actually, because, you know, they say you can't necessarily educate yourself into success, right? And I believe that is absolutely the case. But you're a good combination of both. You're very persistent and where you're going, and then you're also educated, which helps, you know, that, and also helps your clients, no doubt. When you're helping them overcome obstacles you've already learned to do.
Yep, that's true. So being in this realm for some time in the writing world, I understand writing is everything. truthfully. It's how you communicate a certain thought, communicate in a certain way. It's how you're seen, how you're viewed, is based upon what you write, because even when you're doing videos, sometimes you're really just expressing what you wrote. And so what would you say kind of holds people back from writing themselves? Like you said, get rid of the ego. It might be bad. Somebody can help you edit it or you'll trash it. But what is the number one thing you feel is holding them back in the writing world?
I think it's, everybody always says, oh, I just don't have the time. And I get that. And I used to work full time and go to school full time. And I didn't have time to, like, my dissertation. That took a long time. And I didn't have time. And that is a valid excuse. But what I learned was voice memos. That has saved so much time. So I had an hour and a half commute from school back home. I would do voice memos and just talk out all of my ideas for my dissertation. And that was my first draft. I just had hours and hours of voice memos to myself with all my ideas. My dissertation was on nihilistic libertarianism and Western popular culture. So I would just take all these notes and just talk about my thoughts on it and the different things that I had read in class or, at the library about it. And that's how it was. And when I tell people that, so often a light bulb goes off because they picture, the old fashioned typing at a typewriter, and they think that's the only way that you can write, but it's not true. So what I did was then I would transcribe it myself, but some folks, they just don't like typing, in which case you can have a transcriptionist. There's so many out there, freelance transcriptionists. They can type it up for you and then you can edit it yourself, or you can hire an editor. But you don't just need the pen paper. You don't just need to type. So many books are written where it's still your thoughts, still your ideas out there that you have voice recorded, but somebody else wrote it up. That's a perfectly viable way to write nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. And utilizing tools that we have at our disposal that just makes life, somewhat easier, for lack of a better word, more convenient, probably better way to put it. Like you said, utilizing your time driving to and from school, and also working towards that is going to be your end result. Just makes total sense to me.
Yeah. What would you say now when somebody comes to you and wants to work with you, what would you say is the number one concern they come to you with? They say, I want to do this, but.
Yeah, it's usually, I want to do this, but I don't have the time or the knowledge to do it the right way. So whether that is helping them to market their products or book, if we're going to do social media, a lot of the time they will have done social media. Let's say they're posting like once a week, but they're not hashtags, and the pictures are kind of fuzzy. And that's because they didn't know how to properly do it. They didn't know how to do the hashtag stuff. And they also just didn't have the time to do it properly and to do the research. So that's usually who's coming to us on that side. And then with the book side, usually it's authors who are super talented, but they don't know how to get their books out there, right? Maybe they're young and have never written a book before. Maybe they are an experienced writer, but they've never had a hit, so they don't have a big audience.
I've got an editing question. All right. So, I've never written anything that, especially like in a fiction or something like that. Like, so are there any like light rules on editing? Like where does the editor stop and the writer pick up? Is that I would think that, if you're editing and you're reading this and you're like, that shouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm at?
Yeah, it depends on the type of editing. So I always like to define that with clients. If it's a developmental edit, then you have free reign. You can kick the pants off of it. But if it's, a light editing or grammatical error editing, then you got to be careful. But what I always have done to keep myself safe, not upset anybody, is track changes always, but then leave comments. So rather than actually changing something that is more of, a personal choice, I would say something like, this character's motivation seems a little bit whatever. I might do X, Y, Z instead. Leave that as a comment, and then they have the choice if they want to change it or not. And make sure everything is tracked so that I don't finalize any of those changes. The author themselves is the one that accepts all changes and actually decides what they want to change.
Got it. Okay, so I got to go down this vein a little bit longer. So, because I read constantly, and normally it's historical stuff. I'm really interested in history, and so in very ancient history normally. But like as an editor, like how do you? And you're clearly highly intelligent human being, right? But how do you keep from going blind reading the same thing over and over again? Because I find even in our own books, like 2 years later, I'm reading through this book and I'm like, oh gosh, that's a grammatical error. You know what I mean? And then we fix that. And then and she and I've read the same book hundreds and hundreds of times. And how do you keep from going blind on that and missing those things? Is there a trick?
Yeah, I think it becomes second nature. I do keep it fun. I have highlighters in every color. I have page flags in every color. So I do things like that to keep it fun. But I think the engagement aspect of actually, writing comments and talking to the authors when you're able. So I also read for fun a lot. So in those cases, I'll write in the margins, even though, I just finished a Stephen Hawking book and I'm writing questions in there. He's not going to answer, obviously, but I'm writing my questions in there anyway, as I would a client or an author that I'm working with. So to me, it's all about engagement, and it's like a conversation, and yeah, there are some times where you might get a little bit burnt out from reading, in which case take a break, usually I'll listen to music or something, but and then go back to it. It feels fresh. So it's like anything else with that.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's some good little tips right there.
Oh yeah.
Good stuff.
Absolutely. Okay, so we're going to ask you now, Marissa, 5 questions that we ask all of our guests. And it kind of gives us some more insight into your personal brand and how people perceive you. So the number 1 question that we're going to ask you is, what sets you apart from others in your industry?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing is I grew up in my parents' mom and pop carpet shop. So very small business minded. I love startups. I love small businesses. So I know most people in any industry, they really care about their clients. I really care about my clients. I like to take care of them the way that I learned from my parents in their small shop. I look at my clients while I'm working with them as if it's my own, company or book or whatever we're working on. And then of course there is the educational aspect where, I constantly read, not only university learning, but I'm watching educational videos, things like that, always looking to improve my skills and my team skills. So I think the education aspect also, our clients know that we really put the care into all the work that we do, and we make sure that our skills are up to the times all the time.
Love it. Love it. All right. Who exactly do you serve? Like, who's your ideal customers?
Yeah, so at Gen Z, so I have 2 companies. So at Gen Z Publishing, when I first started, I called it Gen Z Publishing because I was a college student and I wanted to serve other people my own age. But about 2 weeks into opening our doors, we got a query letter from a man who was about 45, and he had written one of the most beautiful poetry books I had ever read. And I decided, what, this whole, you need to be my age, a college student thing, that's kind of ageist. Like, this guy's really talented. Let's open it up to really any author. So now, 6 years later, we've been around for 6 years. We're really open to any author who has something innovative to say. Most of our books are topical. We have a very, very diverse group of authors. So really, we publish a lot of young adult and new age, but there's not a specific like blueprint of, this is who we publish. It's really diverse. And we've actually been highlighted for diversity on a number of booksellers, like LGBTQ plus month. We have like 10 LGBTQ books out because of our diversity and our topicalness. So yeah, that's something that we pride ourselves on. A lot of people say niche down. We've kind of done the opposite. With the one thing that keeps all of our authors together is that they're all innovative, forward thinking, that kind of writing. But
in some ways you have niched.
Yeah.
You really have in that way. It's just wide open to all the subjects.
Not in the typical way that most people think, but in your own way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Very true. Yes.
So
and then at
go ahead. I'm sorry. You got to answer the other company. Go for it.
Yeah. At Dr. Rissy's, because I grew up in my parents' small shop, I deal with a lot of small shops, a lot of startups. We have worked with larger companies like we wrote a lot of not a lot. We wrote a dozen white papers and ebooks for HP and Microsoft, and some tweets, 300 tweets for Microsoft. We've done fun stuff like that, but mostly they're startups. We have a lot of people in the blockchain industry and IoT, and in the medical industry. So yeah, that's what we work with.
Okay. All right. Number 3 is exactly how do you serve them? And you can answer for each company.
Yeah. So at Gen Z, we are an independent publisher. So it's not like we're a vanity publisher. We don't charge our authors anything. It is really an author comes to us with a great query. We like them. We like everything that they're doing. We check out their social media and stuff like that, make sure that our missions are in line. And when we decide to work with them, it's a partnership. So, we don't charge them. We split royalties. We help them with their book cover. We format their book. We have beta readers read their book. And then we publish and help them to market their book. So it's a true partnership. On their end, maybe they'll do book tours and do interviews and stuff, but we'll help them to get those interviews. So it's pretty neat. And they're independent authors, so it's great working with them. And then at Dr. Rissy's, we do 360 marketing. So we do SEO ads, social media, and PR for our clients. And all of those aspects go together, and they're all writing is at the crux of all of them. So if you have great PR, it's going to help your SEO. And to get great PR, you need to have great articles written. So that's where all that comes into play.
All right. I love it. Now, what qualifies you to serve them in this capacity?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I've been doing this now about 10 years. So I've worked with over 1,000 clients. It's pretty crazy when you look back, even at my old freelance websites, seeing all these reviews from like 10 years ago. It's really neat. So we've served quite a few clients. We are top rated in PR and social media in New Jersey and New York. That was actually recently released on Forbes. I am a Forbes 30 under 30 in media for 2022. My parents just got their actual print copy of the magazine 2 days ago. I didn't even know it was out. And I came over to their house. My father was like, "Hey, check out the Colonia Corner," which is our local newspaper. And I'm like, "That's not the Colonia Corner, that's Forbes." And my name is in there. It's a very small little thing, but my name is in Forbes. So that's
all that matters.
You bet it is.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been a dream to be 30 under 30. So it's pretty neat. And then of course, I'll go back to the education thing that we, myself and my team do constantly educate, and we've worked with a lot of great companies. So yeah.
All right.
I love it.
I love it. Okay. So perhaps the most important question of all, Marissa, number 5, how does it make your client's life better?
So many ways. So first of all, our clients save time because now they don't have to worry about the marketing and their social presence as much. I always encourage them to still have their face out there, still make videos, still, have some personalization. But for the most part, we have it handled for them. We have the analytics and all of that. We have a lot of the creative. So they're saving a bunch of time. They're also saving stress, a lot. I just talked this morning with somebody who designs dresses. She's an artist, and she says, "I just don't want to deal with all the stress of marketing, all these other things. I just want to design my dresses." So we help eliminate stress from our clients' lives. And third is new clients. So we help our clients to get new clients, which helps their businesses to survive and thrive. And that's, coming from a small business background, growing up on Main Street, seeing small businesses and startups succeed is like the best thing in the world, to say.
I would agree with that 1,000%.
Oh yeah.
1,000%. It's what we love most about what we do too. And then personally, my business and the real estate business is what I love most is watching other people succeed. It's something that I'm passionate about. And clearly you are too, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. How can prospects reach you if they have questions or if they want to work with you? Yeah.
So my name is Marissa with an O, Marissa Schwartz, everywhere. So if you go on to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Instagram, Pinterest, you will find me if you just type in Marissa with an O, Schwartz, or Dr. Rissy. My companies are called Dr. Rissy. The website is drrissy.com, and Gen Z Publishing. That's genzpublishing.org. But literally, if you type in Marissa Schwartz on any of those places, you will find all of this.
That means she's doing it right, folks.
That's right. Marissa, it's been such a pleasure to get to know you. You are very passionate about what you do, and congratulations on all your success.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
You're so welcome. All right, guys, if you learned something today that helps you or inspires you, we encourage you to like it, love it, share it, and ding, subscribe so you can be the first one to learn about the next episode.
Yeah, guys, listen, it's all about prosperity. And when we talk about prosperity, we're not just talking about money. That's only a part of it. We're talking about the whole 360 of abundant life that we truly wish for every one of y'all. We know here at BrandFace that prosperity favors the bold. So we say be bold, folks, especially with your brand, especially in 2022. Thank you, Dr. Schwartz. And thank you, Ms. Klein.
Thank you. All right, guys, we'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.